Aloha, welcome back to another edition of Gil Gets It Done, our regular TV show where we feature events, activities, and current happenings on the North Shore. My name is Gil Riviere. I'm the representative for the North Shore District, and today's program is going to be regarding a group called Malama Pupukea Waimea. We've got some friends here in the studio with us, and we're going to talk about some of the issues affecting this great Marine Life Conservation District. And so I'd like to introduce these folks to you now. First of all, I have on my immediate left is Denise Antolini. She is one of the co-founders of Malama Pupukea Waimea. Next to her is Palikiko Yagodich, and he is one of the advisors. He's an instructor also at Kapiolani Community College. And then Bob Leinau is another co-founder of the group. And Bob spends his time, I think, swimming and looking at the fish nowadays as a retired gentleman. So where do we start? Let's talk about this, and maybe who wants to go first on the history of the area going back and to the medium future?
Okay. I can talk a little bit about the history.
Okay.
First of all, thanks for this wonderful opportunity to share a little bit more about our home. For me, I live there, so it's a very special place. I am originally from Maui, but we moved to Pupukea, and my son now, he's from that area. So it's a very important area for me, just being a community member and taking care of that kuleana, that responsibility is taking care of the place. So what's important to me about Pupukea and Waimea is the history of that place, yeah. And if you go back in time, in traditional times, Waimea was probably one of the most important areas on this entire island. The entire valley, yeah, was an important resource, not only for things that come from the land and the ocean, but also the type of people that lived there. Yeah. Pupukea right next, a lot of people remind or think of the heiau, which is at the top of the hill, Mahuka. It's well known for that, but we also have historic places down by the ocean. So again, it's not just taking care of the ocean, but it's taking care of the entire ahupua'a, from the mountain all the way down to the ocean, reminding people of the historical value of the place. And by doing that, I hope that they'll develop a connection to the place. For me, this is where I swim, I raise my son. We do swim tests, we do reef walk. It's like our outdoor classroom. And watching him, he's only 7, watching him get so excited about swimming, the fish, the reef, and all that we do there, for me, makes me happy. So I'm hoping that we can get others interested in what we do there and how we can take care of that place in particular.
Great. You know, this area is one of the jewels of the North Shore. It is gorgeous. It is beautiful. I mean, anybody appearing coming along the coast and they see Waimea Bay coming north from Haleiwa, they see the beauty of Waimea Bay, they go around it and they come back, and you get to Three Tables area and Sharks Cove. That's the area that we're talking about, right? That is in this conservation district. Do you want to talk a little bit about, Bob, what's your first recollections of this area? How do you see it in days past and up to present?
Well, I'm a convert, as it were. When I first came over here, when you got off work, you went out to see what you could harvest in the sea. And, you know, it was the thrill of the kill. And if you got lucky, you'd bring some fish home for dinner. And I always enjoyed seeing a lot of fish, and it kept going downhill and less and less and less and less. And it became, at one point in my life, I realized, shoots, you know, this is going really bad. And if you read the news articles about what's going on in the ocean worldwide, what's happening in our own backyard is just a reflection of what's happening in lots of places. Yeah, in fact, there's 22 or around 25, I think it is, organizations that are working like we are in our areas to try and improve their ocean resources.
25 within the state or on this island?
Within the state.
Okay.
There's we'll talk about that later, but there. So that's my personal history with it. As I came in, probably whoever knows what it was in the continuum, but one of the things I fantasize about is what the Hawaiian Islands must have looked like before pre-contact. The first guys who came in the canoes, It must have blown their minds. You know, with turtles crawling around the beach and birds flying around, schools of fish. I mean, it must have just like been like an amazing place. And I don't know if we'll ever be able to go back there.
Well, maybe we will, right?
But nothing stays the same. And that's the exciting thing about what's happening here right now, is that they started the Marine Life Conservation. The first Marine Life Conservation District on the island was formed at Hanauma Bay in 1967. It took them 83 until 1983 to get around to start the Pupukea Marine Life Conservation District, and to work with the public, they said, "What do you think?" The guy said, "Oh, I like poke fish." I said, "Okay, no problem." So the fish count kept going down. We kept losing more and more resources. And finally,
so there was a designation of this conservation district, but the conservation
it was
wasn't
defined,
working.
but they defined it, and they said, "Well, here's the exceptions." So it wasn't really a conservation at all. And so finally, Bobby Bunda in 2000 said, "Hey, you know what? Let's have a get together and have a talk about this and see if we can tighten these rules up." So for 2 years, we met and we had a ha-ka-ka about what would be a good idea or not. Everybody doesn't see like giving to the future. It's like taking something away. So it's really hard to move these kind of initiatives forward. And in 2002, they tightened up the rules. They expanded the acreage. There's about a mile of ocean frontage now. And they said no take zones. You can't even swim through with spears. And since 2002, the amount of fish that are in there's more biomass. There's bigger fish, and it's just exciting to watch the ocean try and recover.
So something is working. Denise, how'd you get involved with?
Well, shortly after the area was expanded, some of us on the North Shore remember there was a proposal to do some commercial development near Sharks Cove, and that concerned a lot of community members because it was right across from the Marine Life Conservation District. So a group of community residents said, you know, not only do we have to be monitoring development projects that could impact the ocean, but we should do something proactive to take care of this area. And so Bob and myself and Blake McElhaney, Cora Sanchez, and others met with the state and with another nonprofit and said, let's start a stewardship group. So that's how Malama Pupukea Waimea was launched in January 2005 as a small group of community residents just saying we need to do something. The state didn't have the resources to fully take care of it, nor did the city. And now we're a fully fledged nonprofit with a few staff members, some active volunteers and advisors, and so in 6 years, we've gone from a really good idea about asking the community to step up to an organization that is still asking the community to step up.
Sure. Can always use more.
Yeah.
So what happens? I know you guys are there on Saturdays.
Yeah. So
how's the organization working?
Our primary program for the last 4 or 5 years has been to have an outreach tent at Sharks Cove, Waimea, 3 tables every Saturday to just educate the public about how special the area is. We also conduct fish counts, so community members get in the water, go through certain areas of the marine reserve and count specific fish. So we're tracking the health of this area.
They're swimming with the little wax
Yeah,
pen
they
or
have the
something?
little cards. We track certain fish. It's really a great opportunity for volunteers to
That's
get in the
great,
water
yeah.
and contribute. We also keep track of how people are using the area because we're pretty much at capacity or over capacity in terms of use. And we're going to start a water quality testing program. So we're trying to monitor the health of this place so that we can partner and do a better job and keep it healthy.
Excellent, excellent. Before we forget, just in case we get so engrossed in our conversation here, is there a website or is there some information that people could find more information about the group?
So we have a great website. It's pupukeawaimea.org. So www.waimea.pupukea.org. Sorry, I got that flipped.
pupukeawaimea.org.
It's pupukeawaimea.org. Yeah, sorry.
No,
so
that's
just
fine.
remember Pupukea and Waimea together, and that's our website.
Google kicks it right up, right
Yeah.
at the top there.
We'll find it.
And lots of information there about how to volunteer, how to support this effort.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Bob, you've been there on many a Saturday. The numbers, it surges, I imagine, during the summer when the surf is a little calmer. But I imagine any time there could be plenty of people there. What's it like seasonally?
Well,
the amount
in
of
the
people
Marine
going
Life
through?
Conservation District, in the water, it's all about calm water. But the Humpback Whale Sanctuary includes the Pupukea Marine Life Conservation District.
Does it include the whole North Shore?
The sector that's set up for Oahu goes from Haleiwa all the way to Kahana. And it goes from, 600 fathoms or something all the way into shoreline. So you get the whale watchers in the winter. So the parking lot's still full, and people are out, looking for, they call it spume?
Yeah.
Splashings in the water.
She blows.
Yeah. So, and there's definitely an influx in the summer.
It's a great spot to watch a big surf too.
Yeah.
They hit the rocks and it explodes
People pose
into the
for
air.
pictures there all the time.
It's a tremendous, also dangerous at that time of year, and that poses a whole nother problem.
Well, there's 3 ways people have died there in the last several years. Waves hitting them, and across the rocks. They don't understand the wave comes in sets. The other one is shallow water blackout. These really young, healthy guys will go down, and I can dive deeper than you can. and all of a sudden, you're going for the surface, and all of a sudden you stop. Your mind just clicks off, and you go back down.
And they're just near the surface, right? They've almost made it to the surface, and they black out, and nobody sees them.
Even if it's a buddy system, you go, oh, shooks, I got to get my buddy. Hey, grab him. What are you going to do?
Right.
Now you got to try and pull this guy up when you're free diving. It's really tough.
Okay.
So that's
big waves, swept off the rocks, shallow water.
And caves.
Caves. Oh, they
Scuba
get trapped
guys,
in
there's some
caves.
caves that go way, way, way back, and they're like a funnel. They go in, and it gets all murky in there.
And you can't back
and
out.
many years ago, 3 Marines went in there, and they did all the right stuff with it, the rope, and they did everything right, but they never came out. They died. They messed up.
Well, that's too bad. But for the most part, it's a very safe area. I mean, people go in calm water, and they're looking at fish. And what are snorkelers? There are people doing, I guess, illegal things in there as well, right? I mean, wants to talk about that.
Unfortunately, one of our mission is really to try to restore the health of this area and to restore the health of the fish populations here. And there's turtles and there's monk seals. We really need to more strongly protect it. And largely, we find that people who illegally use the area just don't know it's a protected area. So we actually have a compliance staff person who educates people about, there's no fishing in most of the MLCD. You can't throw net. There's very limited exceptions, but the rules are complicated in our area. So we're spending a lot of time just educating people that it is a protected area. We're going to be working on some really nice interpretive signage to help educate the public. We get about 500,000 visitors a year to Waimea Bay.
That many, okay.
It's a huge number, and as you know, that area has a lot of different parking lots and access points. So it's really hard to actually get the message across to the fly-by visitor or the drive-by visitor, even to residents. So education is a huge part of what we're doing to make sure that people don't use the area illegally.
Is that part of the Makai Watch?
Yeah. So do you want to talk about Makai Watch?
Sure.
Yeah.
So Makai Watch is a program where we have DLNR officers, and they help us is the word regulate? Just regulate the use. If they see any illegal use, they'll go in and they'll, take care of the situation. If we as volunteers on the beach see any illegal activity going on, we have these wonderful cards right here with the number right on top that we pass out information. And it's easy to do. Anyone, all they have to do is call this number and report what's going on, what they find going on at Pupukea or Waimea. And it sends the message straight to the home base, and they can get a message to the officer in the area. If there is no officer in the area, what we tell our volunteers or anyone calling the number is, even though you don't get a number, it's important that you leave a message, because if they get more activity they see down in our area, that might lead to a need for maybe another officer, maybe the officer to patrol this side at certain times. So even though they may seem like, oh man, this officer, he's not gonna make it in time, if they call and leave a message, it still has an impact.
There's a record of it, there's a statistic, there's a baseline for documenting it.
Yes. For me, what's amazing is when it comes to like marine conservation zones around this island, it's like crazy, So like everybody, we have to all do the hula, okay? So everybody go like this. Everybody go like this. Everybody go like this. Okay, put up your two thumbs. Okay, so if this circle is our island, on the island, there's only this much area of that coastline that is marine conservation zone. And we're one of them, okay? So, I mean, in traditional times, the use of the ocean was important, yeah, to save for the next generation and the following and the following and the next and the next. So what we're trying to do here is just, you know, educate people that this is a special place, and we welcome you and we want you to have a great and wonderful time with your family or your loved ones. But there is a right way to go about here, yeah, and have fun here.
Right. So maybe using the word illegal in most cases is kind of harsh. Yeah, it sounds harsh when it's really maybe ignorance or naivety. They didn't know that they're trampling on. Some people ignore rules on purpose.
Yeah.
But the ones we want to try to help as the general want to be proactive, right? We want to teach how to use the resources in a way.
That's so important in keeping people safe also, because like my son, he's 7 already, and he knows, you know, don't go on the reef out there when the big waves, when he sees the surge coming in, he knows not to go over there, it'll suck him out. And a lot of our visitors and everyday people that come on the weekend, they don't know these things.
Simple things, like if the rocks are wet, there's a reason why they're wet.
So just having that tent and that our face there, just to help with any questions, to me is great, because we give those people that attention that they need. Yeah. So I think it's wonderful that they have that tent going up every Saturday for everyone to be safe. Yeah, to be safe.
So if somebody's watching this program right now and they say, "Oh, that sounds like a worthy project," they would go through the website and
So
what was that website again?
Yeah. pupukeawaimea.org. And go to the website, and there's ways to plug in as a volunteer or to help in a number of ways. We're also starting to do more programming for children and for youth. And so we're going to be piloting this summer Sea Camp for Kids, focusing initially on Sunset Beach Elementary School kids. And we've already notified the school, and we've got some interest. And we're running some programs, some educational programs with Kamehameha schools this summer. So the more we can outreach to the youth of the community, that's, I think we all agree, that's the future.
Sure, because there are
so
more
it's very
people, more
exciting.
advocates for the resource.
Yeah.
So Sea Camp.
Sea Camp is
What
going
do
to
they
start
do?
this
Is it
summer.
a one-day thing?
It's
or
going to
how's it
be
work?
the third week in July, pretty much a half day for 5 days in a row, kind of like a summer day camp. And they'll be at 3 tables, and they're going to have very safe snorkeling and learn about marine biology, learn about the cultural history, and do some water sampling, and just really hands-on learning, and just have fun down at the beach in a very safe way, and learn to be good stewards, you know. And these are children, it's initially focused on children from the area who already have a connection. And it's very exciting. We hope it'll continue.
That's outstanding. So what are some of the other, I guess going forward, what would you folks like to see? You want to delve in on that, Bob? What do you,
Sure. Well, from the state side, we'd like to see some more rules. This last summer, at the beginning of the summer, one of the tour operators invented a little thing on a stretchy that had fish food in it, and he was so proud of his invention. But anyway, what happened by the end of the summer, the fish, you could swim in and fish come out because they go, you know. And they weren't doing like that at the beginning of the summer. And by the end of the summer, there was a whole behavioral shift. And when that happened at Hanaumo Bay, they've got pictures of where the fish were coming out and biting and drawing blood. It's really, really a bad behavior to encourage. So we'd like some rules that aren't just for Pupukeawaimea, but are for all of the Marine Life Conservation Districts on the island. I think on all of the islands. I think there's 11 total.
The rule promulgation, though, would come from the Aquatic Resources Division of DLNR. Is that correct?
Well,
the
it would probably help if they had
not a
some
law, is it?
nudging from our representative.
Does it need? Okay. Well, we'll see what we can do on that.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so rules like don't feed the fish, which is, gosh, that's almost like an old saw, isn't it? I mean, people have heard that. Don't feed the birds.
It's
don't feed the
happening
fish.
right now.
Don't feed the birds. There's other issues. I know a lot of people go in, they put sunblock on. You know, they want to protect their body. They don't want to get sunburned. But too much is not always a good thing. Is there some way, is that part of the education program?
We're going to be working on that this summer because not only is the sunblock creating, when it's high season in the summer, everybody knows those areas get really crowded and you can see the sunblock or the sheen in the water. So not only is it bad for the visitor experience, but it's actually really bad for the corals. So we're going to be trying to educate people about brands that are safer or biodegradable sunscreen. So there are options that are good, or just really good rash guards, and that's a promotional.
Long sleeve, lycra shirt,
particularly for
rash guard.
kids. They're out all summer, so that's one aspect of trying to educate people. Basically, you know, that area needs to be without addition, right? So we're not adding sunscreen, we're not adding pollution, you know, so we're really just trying to educate people about keep it pristine. That means you have a part to play in that. And don't take anything out. Don't go home with a shell. Don't go home with a live cowrie.
Don't squash
Don't
on
poke
the
the
reef.
fish. Don't walk on the coral. And we want to say that in a positive way, which is to love and protect this area. That means you can observe it and respect it without having to, you know, to grab it and take it. But like turtles, a lot of turtles in the area, and we need to respect them. We have about 5 turtles now that are kind of residents that hang out there, and they need their space. We have some very special fish in this area that are found few other places, so they need to be respected. It's their home. So we're going into their home.
Yes.
And I think we need to work on that message.
There's been monk seals laying on the beach at
Great
3
monk
tables.
seals, yeah. Yeah.
The animals have territories that they frequent, right? They come back to.
And they're coming back. I think Bob and Palikiko can talk about. We've seen more fish, more activity,
How are
more
those counts
fish.
coming? What about that? Is there enough data yet to tell, or is it still
well,
too
what's interesting about the counts, you see an area like Sharks Cove, and it's like 100 feet across. And the counts show that the Coley hang out on this side, but the Maii hang out over here, and every year they pretty much stay in the same area. But the point is that reef fish are very, very territorial and very regional. They don't wander a long way off, but their eggs do. So what we're hoping for is that what we call the big mamas, will like a 20-pound uhu, let's make it a big mama, will make a lot of eggs that will head off into the waters and they'll find home someplace else.
We haven't talked about that, but that obviously is part of the whole health of the ocean, is if you have sanctuaries, there's a spillover, isn't there, of sea life. And
that's the win-win for
everybody. Is there any indication of that yet? I mean,
yeah.
Probably it's coming.
There's studies. There was a fellow studying that just that one aspect of it last summer, Costa, and we've had some scientists come and present their works about their monitoring. Is it working? You know, are we having more fish or less? And we're having more.
That's
Denise, you probably want to speak to that. You're.
Well, I think that we're really at the beginning of the scientific studies, but the preliminary results are really positive. So Alan Friedlander at the university and several others have done work, and it's actually on our website. We have a series of scientific talks about what's going on at the MLCD, and the signs are all positive, but it also...
I'm sorry, there's a talk where somebody can come listen in?
Yeah, it's videotaped on our website. So there's a little science link there, and they can go learn about the science of the area and how the science is emerging. And it's going to be a long road to full recovery because the area was pretty overutilized for a long time, but it's looking good. And anecdotally, we have visitors come and say, gosh, I haven't been here in 10 or 15 years. Wow, what a difference. So we hope the community effort's making a difference. Yeah.
Is there any infrastructural lacking as far as the shoreline resources, maybe the bathroom facilities, or
They improved it. City and county improved it. We always had uncomfortable feelings about the tide pools towards the end of summer. They felt like they were alive, but it was all microscopic. But they came in and put in a septic tank, and they don't pump it very often, which tells me it's probably working. And the rest of the story, of course, is how clean is the juice when it finally goes out into the leach fields, and we all know where it goes from there. So,
so the land and the sea are both healing.
It's all connected, yeah.
In that area, and then what you do on one affects the other. So any other, we're kind of coming up towards the end of the show, believe it or not. And any last words that you guys want to share? Any summaries or observations for the future?
I don't know. I just wanted to just remind everybody the boundaries of the conservation district that we have for Malama Pupukea Waimea. It starts on the Haleiwa end of Waimea Valley, Vanana Paua, which is that rock outcropping.
Those rocks on
the end. Okay. And it goes through Waimea, past Three Tables, which also has a Hawaiian name, Kalua Amaua. And then you go into Sharks Cove, Pupukea area, all the way out to Keiki Point on that side. And this is the area of the Marine Conservation Zone. Okay. This is the area that we want to protect. Hopefully, if this place grows and lives, is healthy, the neighboring Ahupua'a, the neighboring districts around us will also be thriving and healthy also. So that's the idea for us.
What I like is ownership. I want to see people take ownership. And the way you take ownership of something is you have a relationship with it.
So we get more volunteers.
Yeah.
Well, just to get people to come down and swim around and go, wow, you know, this is great. And the more that we can do that, the better it'll be. People will protect it. They love it.
And just, I want to echo what you said, which is we could use a lot more volunteers from the community. We have youth internships this summer in addition to Sea Camp, so from kids to kupuna, we're open arms.
Anytime,
any
week,
kind of help.
1 hour a month, whatever they can
we
do.
really welcome more assistance, more help.
Thank you. Thank you very much, you guys, for coming in and talking about Malama Pupukea Waimea. This coming to the conclusion of this edition of Gil Gets It Done. As always, it's an honor to represent this district. I'm very proud of the district, and I love these opportunities to show off great, exciting things that are happening in our district. So until next time, aloha.